Hi, bro. Johnny Boy Phoenix here. I kind of just woke up and I saw Otz drop kind of like a Dead by Daylight kind of like balance video. I'm like, you know what? You know what? Perfect time. I'm trying to get a reaction out. Just a live reaction. I watched the first like 3 minutes of it and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. That's the point. Let's get into it. There we go.
And I feel like I am going absolutely crazy. So for the last 2 weeks or so, I had been away due to some family stuff and I couldn't stream, I couldn't really make videos, and I just got back home recently, and one of the things that I was most excited to do was to play the newest killer that I hadn't tried yet, Vecna, aka Henry Krill from the Stranger Things chapter 2. Anyway, this killer
He's an alright killer, but let's get into it. I feel like the quality is so low on this video.
looks really cool. At first I'm really enjoying it, but as I play him more and more, I notice one thing, one repeating factor that just makes this killer so unenjoyable for me.
I don't know, maybe the fact that he's kind of overtuned. I don't know. I think that's my only true issue with Vecna. I think he's a little too strong, but the upside is he's a mind game killer. And that's where his power is most usable. Mind gaming survivors.
That drives me so crazy. And it is holding distance against them. Now the main power of Vecna, as I'm sure most of you know by now, is to attack survivors with vines. This is a really powerful attack that in some situations can down survivors really quickly, but the main counterplay to it is to just keep your distance. If you're far enough, he cannot use it against you effectively. So survivors obviously try to run away and keep that distance, which is completely fine, because he does have a secondary power that allows him to go underground and then catch up to the survivor. Now, when you emerge from underground, you're not guaranteed to hit the survivor unless they make a mistake, but there's a chance that you might. However, and this is the part that's really annoying,
Wait. So he's upset that holding distance against Vecna is his counter. There's a crap ton of killers that again, Nightmane. You know how you counter Night? Just hold distance. Don't let him get a cheeky hit. Mind game the guards, which literally just means run in a straight line, leave, just hold this. There's so many killers that get hard countered. Ghostface is a slow killer who all he can do is chase. If you hold distance against Ghostface, there's nothing he can do. Like, dude, what are you talking about? You got like a A-tier killer, and you're upset that you can hold distance against an A-tier killer? Oh, brother, Otz, don't do this, bro.
Exhaustion comes into play. Exhaustion perks on the survivors make this small chance a 0% chance. With sprint burst, it is trivial. You just walk a second, sprint burst away, you will never ever get hit. Even weaker perks like Dramaturgy also allow you to basically dodge this 100% of the time. And possibly even more annoying is Dead Hard. Dead Hard allows you to dodge this hit.
I do agree on the sprint burst thing. Sprint burst is like super goddamn annoying. Like in that aspect of it kind of counters a lot of killers and a lot of abilities and a lot of stuff and a lot of cheeky hits. But then again, if a survivor is using sprint burst smartly and not just one of the idiots that keeps wasting it just to get a little bit of distance, they use it as a mind game. Why will we shame the survivors using a perk smart? I'm still one of the people who think survivors don't even need perks to win. But why would we shoot them in the foot for using something that they're allowed to bring in the match? I don't know.
And dodge the possible damage that you would take from it. And there's no real guessing or anything. You can't fake it. You cannot like expand it and then cancel. Once you do it, the survivor has a particular timing. If they do it well, and they will, they get away, make even more distance. Also, Dead Hard can also be used to dodge the bind attack. This cannot be faked either. I tried doing it against an ace that you're gonna see in this video, and it doesn't work. Like, even if they look at you, they don't have to guess or do it ahead of time. They can simply react to the noise and the visual cue, and they will get it every single time. Now, I know what you're gonna say, but Otz, there is an add-on that allows you to go faster when you emerge, and there's an add-on.
That's not what I'm gonna say. What I'm gonna say is, dude, a lot of killers' powers gets hard countered by Dead Hard. It's just most Dead Hard users are too stupid to really use it like that. Dude, do you see, I can't remember the one Deathslinger YouTuber. Homeboy's actually really good at Deathslinger. I don't see that motherfucker complaining because you can Dead Hard shot And oh, now you're slow. Now you gotta reload. Now you gotta catch up. Now you gotta aim again. You know what happens if Vecna misses? He uses his power again. What the fuck are you talking about? You're losing like little to no distance. Vecna is a strong killer. Otz, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
That allows you to exhaust survivors so that they cannot do this. I know everyone is running this add-on, and everyone seems to be running the same build. And it really bothers me that this killer has one way to be played, and almost nothing else feels nearly as good.
Well, that's because his power is not really too unique. But the one building, I'm playing that on Hens. That is always Hens' fault. Always blame Hens. Just always blame Hens.
When I get asked how strong this killer is or whether or not this killer is balanced, I have this massive cognitive dissonance, this massive Schrodinger's effect, where this killer is both balanced and unbalanced at the same time. And thinking about it, it made me realize this killer is perfectly balanced in the current version of Dead by Daylight. But there's a secondary, an alternative version of Dead by Daylight that I hope that we get to someday, where this killer would not be balanced and would need some changes. Now, these two versions of the game are not necessarily bad and good or correct and incorrect. I'm just gonna, I personally prefer the second one. That's why I'm gonna make it all shiny and sunny and beautiful. But just to make it clear, this is my opinion. Your vision for this game could be completely different, and that's valid. Anyway, let's talk about the current path that DBD is going to. The one where this Vecna, our version of Vecna, is totally balanced and probably just fine the way he is. This is a version of DBD where the average map is pretty large and some of them are extremely large. And survivors in general have the options to traverse all of this map. You can go on one of the biggest maps in the game and just a survivor and go all the way around them because they have exhaustion perks, because they have haste effects. Sometimes they see you from afar, like for example on the outer path of the RPD maps, and they can just hold forward and it will just take you seconds and seconds and seconds and seconds to even catch up, let alone start the chase, let alone get rid of resources.
Yeah, I do hate it's so many again, one of my biggest takes are, dude, there's a lot of maps that I think should be removed from the game because they are like super abusable and they encourage more, I guess, air quotes, toxic killer strategies like tunneling and camping. Cause yeah, I'm getting snubbed on RPD, a map where it sucks for mobility killers, a map where it sucks for no mobility killers, the map where it just sucks.
Let alone get a hit or a down, right? So this is something that in theory, in a vacuum, should be really, really strong for survivors. But in practice, it's not really that important because many killers are very agile and move around the map very fast, like for example, the Blight. Others can teleport almost immediately after chase or in between chases, so the big size of the map is not that big of a deal. And there are some other killers that are slow, but once they catch up, they start destroying you regardless of how many pallets you have around the map, such as the Nurse or the first Vecna, right? Then obviously that leaves us with some killers that don't have any of these things. There are some killers in the game that do not have a teleport, do not have a strong chase power, and do not have crazy mobility. And these killers for the most part are weaker, but some of them have certain things about them that make them harder for new players or unintuitive. And in the stats, they are not that far from the other killers, so the developers generally, they don't really care. Another feature that you might have noticed about our version of the game is that killers often waste a lot of time doing nothing. Survivors do so much.
Maybe Ryan, I don't think I was just listening to this. This nigga say what I think he just said.
Certain things about them that make them harder for new players or unintuitive. And in the stats, they are not that far from the other killers, so the developers generally, they don't really care.
Hey. This nigga's stupid.
Another feature that you might have noticed about our version of the game is that killers often waste a lot of time doing nothing. Survivors do so
I gotta agree to that.
So much healing, so much progress on their objectives, on side objectives, while the killer is busy breaking a pallet, vaulting a window, picking up a survivor, then very slowly going around the hill because that hook there is the only hook that you can realistically get to. Then you hook very slowly, and in all of this time that you're wasting, the generators are being done in the background. It's obviously no surprise that the weaker killers absolutely rely on these slowdown perks. Without these slowdown perks, how can they honestly keep up with the pace of the game sometimes? It's just not possible. It's not realistic. The problem, of course, is that the stronger killers, the ones that don't need these perks as much, they still run them. So in the end, what we have is a very stale meta of killers running the reliable perks that slow down the game, and survivors running the reliable perks that keep them safe for a little bit longer to counteract this. And this is something that's been like this forever, and there's no sign of it changing. And honestly, what is the alternative? Well, here is...
I'm gonna pause on that. Just the current one. I still don't think it's anything wrong with running slowdown. And I still don't think it's anything wrong with just running exhaustion perks. I feel like he's just kind of overly going on a side tangent about some bullshit. But I will say I agree that, and I said this a while ago, I think they should lessen perks like they did it with the stupid fucking tunneling reduction, anti-tunnel changes. They should lessen the effects of strong shit on high tier killers, high mobility killers, killers who can teleport, killers who are fast. They should limit some of the stronger stuff on them and help out, make shit stronger for Ghostface, for Trapper, for lower tier killers. Because if we're being dead honest, you're not a good Ghostface player. The survivors just don't know how to play against him. Oh, but I'm great with Ghostface. You're not. You're not. Because he's a basic M1 killer. You're not good at Ghostface. Because if you were really good, you'd play Chucky, a better Ghostface. Calm down.
My vision, something that I think this game could realistically go into. It would require some changes from the devs and some work from the devs and some changes that the community I don't think would like very much. But here it goes. First, the first thing that we're gonna do is make maps a bit smaller on average. The ones that are already quite small, they can stay the way they are. The larger ones that have safety everywhere, shack in one corner, main building in another corner, a bunch of stuff in the middle, these maps would need to be reduced slightly and be a little bit smaller. Now, the problem is...
Yeah, screw you, Unknowns map. I hate that map.
If you do this, is that kill rates might go up too high, because right now, indoor maps are typically very, very killer-sided. Anytime we see the stats, indoor maps normally are a bit too inflated. And the reason they're inflated is not because they're insanely good for a killer, it's because they're quite bad for survivors. Newer players, intermediate players, people that don't have a lot of experience, they get lost in their maps a lot. The indications for where gens are sometimes are very unclear and sometimes are completely non-existent. In Midwich, for example, there's no blinking lights or any hint telling you where gens are. Some rooms have gens most of the time, but then every now and then you go there and it's not there. And it's almost impossible to know where the gen's gonna be without deep knowledge. And I think this is something that could be made a little bit easier. Then these maps would not have such an inflated kill rate, and that would not mess with the statistics, which, as we know, are very, very important for the developers. After this, a general nerf to exhaustion perks. Exhaustion perks on the survivor side would give you less distance. Perks that don't give you a ton of distance already, like for example head-on, they can stay the same, those are completely fine, but especially things like sprint burst would be a little bit weaker. It's also possible that being hit, the basic attack speed, could also be a little bit smaller by default as well, which is something that they already did. The general idea...
If anything, I think when you get hit, it should be, like, the speed should get gutted if you're exhausted, but that's just me.
Of course, is that haste on both sides would be weaker. Survivors would not have perks that give them haste for a long period of time, repeatedly, that allow them to loop around something infinitely, and killers would get slower or weaker bloodlust overall. The big idea, right, is that you want to eventually enter a chase and eventually start looping, and it will come down to who makes the right play to get the down or finish the chase or buy time if it's the survivor, right? It should not come down to who outperks the other person. In my opinion, perks that allow you to completely bypass things or completely break the balance of a well-done loop would need to be looked at. That includes things like coup de grace, which no one thinks is OP, but I personally think in this version of the game would have to be a bit different.
Shut the hell up. You're not going to nerf my favorite perk. That is one of my favorite perks in the entire game. You're not going to cut this, bro. It is nothing wrong with Coop. Please, please don't nerf it, behavior. That's the only thing that's kind of helping the lower tier killers. Come on.
Different, or we need to have something. The big idea, right, is that survivors don't just go forward. They actually have to play the loops, and killers would need to be adjusted so that being at a loop is not an immediate death sentence for the survivor. Right now, many killers, if you are at a loop, you die Artist, you die. You need to keep holding forward. Trickster in a lot of low loops, you die. Nurse, you die. You need to hold forward against all of these killers and maybe break line of sight. The idea is that doing this would be less necessary, so you would have more interaction, less holding forward and chase and time in between chases. Of course, this is another thing that people would not like. General nerf to slowdown perks. Since the maps are smaller and survivors are weaker, you are now able to catch them better, and you don't need a perk that blocks a gen for 25 minutes or a gen that deals 600% progress of a generator every time you look at a survivor. So the strongest perks in the game would see an overall nerf, and maybe they would not work together as well, so that you're encouraged to run 1, maybe 2, but not 4 slowdown perks, which I always have thought is a little silly. That's a bit of a personal thing. Obviously, this would also come with some of the changes to make it so that survivors don't have unlimited time to do everything. The simplest ones, in my opinion, revert hook timers to be 60 seconds. You would not believe how good this is for killer pressure. If survivors are forced to let go of gens to go for the rescue a little bit sooner, like they used to, that would really, really help. And I think overall, the time that a killer gets stuck doing unnecessary things that don't really have any interaction between both sides, like for example, breaking breakable walls or picking up, carrying, these could all be sped up. Not massively, you still want to keep the normal flow of the game, but they should be sped up a little bit. There's no reason a killer should spend 15 seconds going for the closest hook available. I've always found that really, really gross. Needless to say, S tier killers and some of the killers that are really, really close to being S tier, that are really, really strong, especially the ones with high mobility, we're talking Ghoul, Blight, Nurse, these killers would need a nerf.
Finally, he's saying something I agree with. I'm a hard killer main. Fuck all survivors. But I will agree to that. It's no reason killers are like Nurse and Blight had been overtuned for all these goddamn years. I still don't like playing against the Ghoul because the Ghoul is just an unfun killer to play. Oh, but these things, shut up. These are all overly strong killers with, not really that much counterplay. And it's always like, I got a 50 win streak with my all slowdown Blight build. Yeah, you're playing one of the strongest killers with a strong build. It's niggas like this why slowdown perks get nerfed. It's niggas like this why the pallet density happened. And then they get on there and bitch. Like, dude, you're the problem. You're why this happened. I do agree they should nerf a lot of the S tier killers and heck, some A tier killers. I want Wesker gutted. I don't think he's strong. I just don't like Wesker.
Killers like the first that don't have crazy mobility but that have a crazy strong power, they would feel a lot better in this version of the game because survivors would not be making so much distance. But to compensate, they would have stronger cooldowns. Missing and being inaccurate would have a more severe penalty. You would want to be a bit more deliberate with your movements. Overall, that would happen to all of these killers that are close to this category. I also think that another thing that needs to happen like this is the developers, as we've said over and over, they rely on statistics constantly. Some killers that are objectively really, really weak get a pass because in the stats they have high kill rates. These killers need to be looked at. A killer like Sadako, for example, that is extremely confusing, extremely unintuitive. People don't know what to do about her. They kill themselves without realizing. Killers like Vecna that have a super, super high kill rate because nobody understands how he works, and nobody understands that if you do this, you hurt yourself, and if you do this, it doesn't work.
Well, man, it also falls down to behavior downright being fucking stupid. And I hate the people that, oh, don't blame behaviors. They have a job to do and they do their job. Because they fucking suck at their job, I'm not gonna coddle grown fucking adults. The fuck? The problem with them is they have this stupid creator program just to push ads, push cosmetics, and to push dumb shit. You know what you should use it for? Balance. Listen to the creators. Pull all the creators in a call and just have them just spitball ideas. Except for Scott, he's an idiot. Have them actually talk about the game. Have them actually do something instead of just marketing for you. Because that's all the creator program is. Marketing. That's besides the point. It's just behavior just sucks at their job. And they made a whole program to not listen to anybody.
These killers need to either be streamlined and be made simpler, or they need to be explained better. They need to be explained in tutorials, in splash screens, whatever. This game should not be balanced around ignorance, and it is exactly what we have right now. And of course, the overall goal of all of these changes, difficult as they would be, is that running exhaustion perks would be an option, but it wouldn't be a necessity. Running slowdown perks would be a good idea, but not a necessary idea. The gap between the strongest killer and the weakest killer would be reduced. The gap between the strongest build and a fun little meme build would not be such a chasm as it is today. That is how I see this game. And when people ask me in my chat when I'm streaming, would you buff the clown? My answer would be, in this alternative path, no, clown would be fine. Would you keep Vecna as it is? In the current version of DVD, yeah, I would. Probably, he's fine in the current version, but in the future version, maybe he could even be touched a little bit and nerfed a little bit, and
There you go.
still be fine. So yeah, let me know if you see an alternative vision to this.
Who the fuck would want to buff for clown? Ew, whatever idiot is in his comment section, bro. Go ahead and just delete the game, dude. Go play some Roblox. Just stop, dude.
If you see another path, a third path, and please describe it. Some people really think that every killer should be as strong as Nurse. Some people really think that every killer should be as strong as Trapper. So I'd love to see your opinions, and I'd like you to tell me which one you think we're headed into realistically. Sadly, I think we're going left here, and I am a little bit scared. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.
Yeah, that's the problem. We're definitely gonna stay in the left path because again, behavior is just kind of lazy. Again, like I said, they should just round up all the people in their creator program and just have conversations, have them help with the balance. Because it shows the motherfuckers that behavior don't actually play the game, and when they do, they play a little bit of Survivor. They don't truly play Killer. They don't even know Survivor enough. If it's anything, they just run like, oh my god, is this a silly little quirky match? Oh my god. They don't actually play the game, and I think that's the problem with behavior. That's the overall problem. It's just a whole bunch of neckbeard millennials just standing around all day. That's the point. This is a good video. He low-key didn't have me at the start with the Vecna is weak and shit. He did not have me with that. But as the video went on, I started agree with Morty saying about the two paths. I really do hope we go, to the right path where the game is, I guess, faster paced and more fun. There's some stuff I don't like killers can't ignore resources and brute force. That means they're gonna have to change like a lot of killers' powers. They can't pre-run 30 seconds without chase. I don't get that one either. Like, these two can just get removed, and I think the rest would be fine. Nerfing haste, it's I don't know. Overall, which one would I rather have? I'd rather have this one because golly, a breath of fresh air for Dead by Daylight would be heavenly. That's besides the point. Best I can do is just hope. We love our favorite. We love our moist critical of Dead by Daylight, our pro fence sitter. Thanks, Otz.